So the first of the two topics that we have on this episode is talking about the greatest invention ever known, or maybe is it the crappiest invention ever known, Playmats. For CCGs and board games, we got a couple of different questions that I've laid out. We're going to talk about them because why not? Playmats, are they awesome? Do people like them? Do people buy them? Do you like what do you like about them, right? So first, we're going to start with CCGs because I think it is important to separate Playmats for board games and Playmats for CCGs.
Mm-hmm.
Because typically in Playmats for CCGs, they're mostly just fabric with art on it. I mean, do you like more than that? What do you think? Have you played with one that has other than that? Like, for instance, do you like the Playmats that actually show the zones for like Magic or Keyforge or World of Warcraft TCG, things like that?
Actually, I prefer the ones that do show the zones. It just gives you a
Absolutely not.
No, you just like artwork.
You have been judged.
I like my. This is where my discard goes. This is where my deck goes. This is my play area.
You know where all them spots are.
I already know where those spots go, but I like it to tell me. It's just
I'm glad we're doing this. This is awesome.
It's just like having a game board. You know, you like the spots on a game board. You know, this is where this goes, and this is where. If it was just a artwork, and you put something anywhere on the board, you know, that's chaotic.
So retort.
Y'all messed up doing this topic. I am an avid playmat collector. I collect them for the art, pretty much.
Yeah.
I like having the playmat show me the art. I don't want it having all the play zones and take it away from the art at all.
Well, it could be, you know, not so bold, you know, up front, but you know, kind of muted in the background.
Like
And
opacity. It was like half opacity or something.
So
I will say this.
Best of both worlds.
If we're talking CCGs.
We're only talking CCGs.
Yeah, you do not see this at all.
Or do you see only artwork?
They do make them, though.
I'm sure there are some. I'm not going to sit here and be so absolute to say they don't exist. But most of the time when you see like your Grand Prix playmats, it's just a piece of artwork or something like that.
Well, for instance, let's take the newest Keyforge one. Have you seen the Keyforge mat? Well, you played on it at Gen Con.
I think I've seen those Keyforge mats, but I think they're just artwork, aren't they?
No. So, like, you got your Keyforge mat.
Or the ones that they're coming out with.
No, well, they have some that are just art, but I'm talking about the one that just says Keyforge. It's very basic. At the top, it has all the squares that you put your creatures in.
Right.
Right. So you can.
Oh yeah.
They're in a grid, but the rest, 90% of it else is nothing. You just put your guys off to the side.
Okay.
Now at the bottom right, you have a spot for your discard deck. You have a spot for your identity card, and you have a spot for your draw deck. And you have your spot for the 3 keys. So there are spots. It doesn't like label out the zones like it's a tutorial,
right?
Or like, have you ever played this game before? But it does have spots that are useful,
right?
And this is where I'm torn because Eric's obviously all about it. Matt's obviously not. I'm kind of in the middle. One, I don't mind like Magic the Gathering playmats and stuff like that has spots for life counters. Like, you know, it has all these circles for your life. And you can kind of move around a counter on it. So you don't have to have an independent way to keep track of your health.
I have seen those.
Those are cool. I like those. Although I don't think they're tournament legal because it's easy to knock that cube around or
you wouldn't want to use those in a tournament anyway.
It's just as easy to knock over a dice or something.
Well, but in a tournament you have to keep it on paper.
Pen and paper.
Oh, do you really? Okay.
You have to show the record.
Old school. We use like a D20.
Well, you didn't play in tournaments then.
I did not.
If you have 20 life, you get hit for 4. You cross it out, right 16.
Okay.
That's how tournaments work. You could have another thing keeping track to your health, but I think in most tournaments for most games, you also have to keep track to your opponent's health too, right?
It's a good idea too. And even if you are doing it on something and you call a judge over, they're going to look at that dude with the pen and paper and go by him.
Because he shows the history.
He's holding up in court more than your D20.
Yeah. But for casual play, I do like it when it's included on the mat. Now, even though Matt likes art, I actually don't like outlandish art because I feel like it distracts from the cards on it. So I kind of like a design, but not necessarily like a crazy amount of stuff happening. So I don't like a really busy play mat, but I like it to look nice.
Yeah. And that's not saying that some of the ones that I have I would play on either.
That's fair.
So
you like to collect them, but not necessarily
you are right. There would be busy ones. And also with CCG, sometimes it was like a bragging right to
That's true.
to lay down that playmat, and it says top 8 or something like that on it. And they're like, oh, really? You know, top 8 certain city, regional,
champion.
this and that. So
That's fair. I forgot about that because it is a very intimidating factor. If somebody comes down and busts out like a playmat that's, you know, I won the Philippines.
yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool.
I would also say that it's probably good for maybe if you have ones that are good for new players. You know, hey, here's your playmat. It shows you where all your stuff goes.
That could be paper though.
I was gonna say that's usually the fold out
Paper.
ones. Yes, and if you get a starter deck, it'll have like a. I know Pokemon
right.
does this, and the My Little Pony. Yes, that's right.
But
it came with one that kind of showed you all the different zones and stuff. So
yeah,
it's a good step up from paper, though.
it is a good step up, but I'm not gonna buy it.
Oh, you could if you liked it. Hey,
You better give it to me for free. Look. Like picture like Dice Masters. I'm pretty sure a lot of their playmats have spots for all the cards and then little spots for all the dice. I think that's kind of cool because it does keep it uniform. So I'm not saying every game I like just to have a design, but I don't think it's necessary to show everything. But in games like that where it's very uniform, that looks cool.
Yeah, here's where your guys go when they die. They go into this other circle, and
yeah. Because let's be real. I don't know about Matt because obviously you play more tournaments than I have. I mean, I played a lot of tournaments, but it's usually for like a specific game.
right.
But a lot of people don't seem to care about zones. Like
they do their own thing.
You get what you're doing, but it's not like their discard pile is on the right and their draw deck's on the left and the creatures are up top and all their stuff's in the middle. You know, like sometimes people don't follow that very well.
Yeah.
So for certain games, such as Dice Masters, I kind of like that uniformity between the two players because I can look over and see, you know, it's just like when we're playing board games with Eric, you look over at his player board and it's like stuff just there. It's like clean your room, Eric.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
What as far as the zones?
Yeah, like
I guess if it has like you're saying with the Dice Masters, maybe if it has a ton of zones, and maybe I could see that. Most of your card games are, you know, you have a draw pile, you have a graveyard or a discard pile, and you've got dudes. So it's like 3 zones, and your mana pool or something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that hard to keep that in enough order for people to distinguish what's what.
That's fair.
I would say for me, it might be CCG dependent. You know,
That's fair.
Something like Magic, where you know you it is limited. You know, you have a draw deck, discard, and you have your mana, and then you have your guys up top. Maybe you don't need something for that, but I don't know, some other games
like have a busy artwork on like the left hand side and on the right hand side, and that's where you put your decks and stuff. And then in the middle, it's kind of like a design or a background. Yeah,
both. Best of both worlds.
I'll tell you this. If you ever watch my videos on Token Punch Lunch, right, that I do, I always use a Dice Tower mat because it says Dice Tower and I'm doing a Dice Tower video. But that design, it's like this, like kind of like a background's like a parchment kind of thing. It's like brown and like stained and things like that. It's got like little lines, almost like it's like a drawing from like the 1800s or something. I love playmats like that. They're like simple, but it's more about graphic arts than 15 anime girls giving some fan service. Of course, that's why you collect them. I see it, Matt.
I actually don't have a whole lot with girls on them.
Oh, we need to play more Force of Will tournaments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All their playmats were designed that way. Yes.
All right. So you want to move on to board games?
Sure.
Yeah.
You got anything else about the CCG ones? I mean, not that we can not say it later, but
no. I'm good.
All right, so the reason I separate this, because I think board games are vastly different, right? For board games, you're going to have playmats that are usually possibly replacing player boards and maybe adding a little bit more stuff to, like this one, to very focused, I think, on little squares and circles to put your stuff in.
Right.
Or they have a playmat for the middle, in which case you put stuff on it to kind of hold all the pieces and kind of look nice or whatever. So what are your thoughts on that? Because typically... And I'm not talking like replacing just a board game with a felt version of the board.
Right.
Games that don't have playmats, and the playmats not necessarily don't add functionality, but they add like a
just
visual,
places, right?
Yeah, places to put stuff. What do you think about those?
No, I do like them as long as they fit in the base game box. When
very fair.
they're overly big, or you have to put it separately, that kind of defeats the whole purpose for me.
Yeah,
Like,
because
I
then you
don't
have to have
want
a
to-
space for it.
Right. Remember where I put it, or put it in a drawer, or slap it on top. That just kills it for me.
What about you, Matt?
I guess essentially what Eric's saying. These I'm okay with the spots on though, because that's kind of what they're for.
The whole purpose
yeah,
of it.
that's kind of the whole purpose for it. And there are some really nice ones. Like I know Splendor has a nice looking one, which you don't have a board with Splendor. You just have a setup.
Right.
So that brings me to the first question. Do you think they're necessary? Obviously, they didn't come with the game, so they're probably
Right.
not necessary.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can play
that-
it without it, so
that-
it's not necessary.
Definitely not necessary. It does look nicer on the table. It does maybe remind you where all the things go.
Yeah,
There's supposed to be 4 cards out there, not 5 or 3.
that's true. Like for setup purposes and stuff like that, that's cool. Like for instance, the Century Spice Road ones,
Yep.
those are pretty nice, even though they aren't necessary. But it does. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes the game look more like a board game than it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Than just all the pieces on the table.
Yeah, that would. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of games I would say I necessarily need a playmat. Like for instance, Splendors, I think is worthless. I mean, it looks cool, but
Right.
I mean, the game is so. I mean, I guess it's kind of like that with Century, but I just feel like Centuries is so much better looking. Like, because like there's so much in a grid on Splendor that it's hard to mess that up.
Right.
Century, you can kind of just throw stuff out there, and it's like,
Well,
Things slide over.
kind of cohesive with the whole, I guess, the theme and everything.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Splendors is just like the box art.
it is. It's literally just a box art. It's just opaque and with squares over it.
Although there are plenty of room in that box to fit the Splendor.
Yes, there is.
But I mean, I like the Century Spice Road one. The only problem I have with mats in the general is they're not usually price efficient to even get.
Oh, right. You're playing, the cost of the game, or half the cost of the game to get the mat as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like for instance, Brutal Legend. Brutal Legend. Sorry, what is it called? Brutal Kingdom.
Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That one has a playmat you can buy it, I think it's like $15, or you can get it for free usually when you buy it at a convention.
Right.
You fold it up into a square and it fits in the box. Even though it's a small playmat, I love it. I love
yeah.
that thing. I think I don't think it's like absolutely necessary, but it is really nice to have with it.
Yeah.
But it's like the same cost as the game.
Right.
I'm not playing it that much to warrant needing that, but at the same time, I got it for free.
And it was nice to have.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So let's talk about board games specifically. What are your favorite ones that you played with a playmat that you almost don't want to play without it, or just favorite ones? Did you have any of those, or?
I can't think of any, but I do remember playing the Cryptozoic Walking Dead game, and oddly enough, it came with a playmat for a board, and I thought that was neat.
But that's just like a normal.
That was the
included-
normal included. Yeah,
Included board.
It was included.
Hmm.
Fair enough. Eric, did you write any down, or?
No, the only thing I can think of right off the top of my head is there's one for Viceroy that I might pick up.
Yeah, I could see Viceroy. I didn't think about that one before this, but yeah, Viceroy would be a good one. I already named mine, which was Brutal Kingdoms. I think that's a fantastic one,
Oddly enough, even though
it's so small.
completely unnecessary, I did really want to win that DC deck builder playmat that we were playing for.
That's fair.
That one time, it was just nice looking.
Well, to be honest with you on that, Ascension comes with a board to put all the pieces on, and I love it. I mean, it's not necessary to play Ascension at all, but it's the same because like DC Deck Builder doesn't come with a board, right?
No.
And so like having a board would be nice.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, one thing I want to talk about that kind of spans across both of them is the quality, or not quality, but the way that playmats are made, because there are a couple different ones. Like for instance, Brutal Kingdom, its playmat is like razor thin.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to fold though.
Right.
Whereas like other ones are like mouse pads. They're
real thick.
real thick. They almost, maybe not as big as like thick as the really thick mouse pads, but because they're still able to be rolled up,
Right.
like your typical ones or whatever. And then like, I don't know about you guys, but what about the ones with the stitching all the way around?
Yeah, we were talking about this. I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah. Not liking the stitching.
Yeah, I hope this is not a thing, people. Look, if you're making playmats, don't put the stitching around the edge. Just cut the thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess it was a pretty short topic. I don't know. Anybody else? Do you have anything else to say about them? Anything else that you wrote down that I didn't get to?
No.
No. Well, how do you think they hold up over time? I haven't played with a lot of playmats, but some of them I see that things get
Fray?
no, like on the bottom they collect dust or bits of food or whatever that's on your table.
You can wash that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom of it's rubber. It's neoprene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can wash that. You can actually wash the
top of
graphic with soap and water. It's a little bad if you spill something on it or whatever. But if you want to know how well they hold up for what? Almost... when did we start the podcast? In April? It's like going on 3 years. I've used these playmats to hold our microphone stands, to hold all the equipment.
Oh.
I use them, the one or two of the playmats for my videos and stuff. Which, I mean, it's not like I'm playing a CCG every day 15 times or whatever, but
Right.
I don't think cards really mess them up.
No.
Board games, I mean, I would assume that heavy equipment would mess them up a lot worse. So
Right.
I keep them folded in half. I don't really take as good a care of them as I think most people do. How do you just lay yours down flat, Matt?
I wish I had an area to do that. Otherwise, they're all rolled up individually.
Does it take up more room than putting them in a pile than a stack?
I just wish I had a place to put them folded out. I don't have anywhere to just lay them out like that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I would if I could.
Yeah.
I just don't have a nice area to lay them in.
Gotcha. Well, I got one other type of playmat that I'm going to mention, which is pretty much just me, but miniature games. Some playmats for miniature games are awesome. Like, for instance, Star Wars X-Wing.
Mm-hmm.
They have a playmat. The problem with that game is it uses a 3x3 foot by 3 foot area.
So a huge playmat.
It's a huge playmat, but bam, and it's
yeah.
space themed.
Exactly. I think that adds a lot to the game.
I think it adds a ton. Did we play on it when we played? I don't remember. I don't think I had it at that time.
Right.
No, I don't think I had it. I also have one for Dreamblade that is amazing, even though you don't need it because the game came with a paper one, but paper.
Yeah.
And finally, there is one for Arena Rex that I so wanted to buy. It's like $45.
Is that the Coliseum one? Or
It looks like a Coliseum because the game's fought in an arena.
Mm-hmm.
But Playmobile, the people that do a lot of like the Lego style play sets for kids and stuff, they made one a while back that was an arena that was awesome. And it went up to like $300 to $400 on eBay because it was out of print.
Wow.
It sold so well on eBay that they remade it. So basically a miniature game, it caused a toy company to remake a toy because a bunch of nerds were playing miniatures on it. That's awesome.
Nice.
So, and that thing, the playmat that I was talking about for Arena Rex is like $45. Sometimes you get it cheaper at conventions, but the Playmobile thing is like $60, and it's 3D and everything. So,
Oh wow. Okay.
and you have to paint it to make it look good because it's obviously like bright yellow.
Yeah.
But it looks great. So anyway, that's Playmats. What do you guys think? Join the conversation. I feel like a clickbait podcast.
Yeah.
Clickbait podcast now. Anyway, just send us emails.